Hi everybody, it's me, Corrie T, and I'm back. And in today's video, I'm going to be going through all the things that I can remember doing while I was manifesting my specific person, which might be quite useful. And you might want a pen and paper because there's going to be loads of things that I'm going to talk about in basically a list format, because this list is pretty long. And to avoid this video being an hour and a half long, I'm going to kind of go through them quite quickly, and then hopefully will inspire other videos where I'll go more into depth about specific things that I did and concepts and things like that. Also, I should say that there is no right or wrong to manifesting a specific person. There's no one can tell you that this is going to work or this isn't going to work. It's all up to you. So if there's anything that resonates with you in this, any, things that I say that you think, I'm going to try that, that's for you, that you can decide that's going to work, that feels good to me, so it's all up to you. Part of my process was figuring out the things that felt good to me that I thought, I'm going to make that work. At the end of the day, you're the one who will decide if this is going to work or not, and that's what I did. I just decided this is going to work for me, I'm going to make sure it does. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that I started to realize that everyone was me pushed out, and it was a new concept to me and I didn't really understand it before, and it was just such a shift because it made me realize that the way that I was feeling about myself and the thoughts and the feelings that I had about myself were what was creating what I was perceiving and what I was experiencing with him. And it was creating this kind of feedback loop about only how I was feeling about myself, and that's it. And I'd never understood that before. So it made me realise, oh my God, I'm feeling absolutely terrible and awful. And it can't be like this. I can't feel like this. And I've got to feel more confident. I've got to feel more in control. So my number one priority was creating a new version of me that felt confident and secure. I did so much work on myself and the way that I was feeling about me. And that included lots of self-love affirmations. I'd be walking around the house, I'd be walking to work, I'd be sitting on the bus, I'd be saying things repetitively to myself that I wanted to be true. So I wanted to feel secure, I am secure. I wanted to feel loved, I'm loved. And I walked around it and I said it with conviction, particularly when I was on my own in my house. I'd say it in the mirror, I'd dance around the house, I'd put on music that made me feel really good about myself, and I'd really get into a state of just thinking, this is how I want to feel, and I'm going to affirm it in. And I knew the science behind it. I understood the science behind it, as in the rewiring of my neural pathways, a new creation of the way that I was feeling. I knew that I was cultivating a new feeling about myself that I'd never really experienced before, and I knew that there may be turbulence in that process, as in it wouldn't feel natural to me, I wouldn't believe it, and I just kept doing it. And I went overboard with that. I did it like so much. I was writing it down, scripting it out, talking to myself, and I think I got a bit obsessed to the point where it wasn't quite as natural as it should have been. So I think the best way to do that is just to do it naturally when you want to, when you're walking, when you've got time on your own, just whenever you can, as often as you can. So those were two big things. I also had some coaching and I had a therapist. They're basically the same thing said in different ways, and those conversations that I had helped me to keep on track. It was really good to talk to someone who really understood what I was going through and didn't judge me for wanting what I wanted. So another part of the process was stopping all conversations with people who would say things to me like, you deserve better, there's someone out there for you, of course you're going to find someone, it's just not him. Why don't you just move on? All of this stuff that made me feel like crap. I just didn't want to hear it. So I stopped talking to anyone who didn't allow me to want what I wanted. And that meant my circle in this conversation got very small. There was only 2 or 3 people that I actually spoke to. One of them was my friend Megan and one of them was my friend April, and you can see the conversation that I had with April on my channel, and I'll put the link below, and how we manifested together. And this was so important to me, this manifesting buddy thing. One of my clients had an idea of me hooking her up with another one of my clients, so that they could be manifesting buddies. I thought it was such a good idea that I'm going to ask all of my clients if they would like me to try and hook them up with a manifesting buddy, so that you can experience what I experienced when I had a manifesting buddy. And it was like they picked me up when I was down, they kept me on course. We lifted each other out of potholes, and it was such an important part of my journey, having someone that I could talk to and trust who really got manifestation. So that was another thing. Another thing that I did was visualizations, because I like them, because I enjoy them, because I love the experience of going into my mind and experiencing what it was like to really be in the relationship. I used to stand over and look at a big beautiful view of Perugia and just imagine that I was there with him, and then that all came to life, as you'll find in my other videos. And I used to imagine conversations with him. I used to imagine meeting up again. I used to say thank you to the universe. I used to say thank you for this experience, thank you for this relationship, just loads of gratitude that I'd put out to the universe. And I did that every day. Not all day, but every day. The other thing that I did, which was really important, was lots of crying. I did loads of crying. I did loads of releasing stuff. I didn't see it as a burden. I didn't see it as something I was doing wrong. I saw it as a necessary part of healing. I had so much pain within me that needed to come out. I had so much that I needed to do to really hold my inner child and be like, I'm here now. I did loads of inner child meditations. I lay there with myself, like talking to myself, talking to my inner child. And it was a very cathartic experience to be able to go through that, really understanding and connecting to myself again. And you know, I'll do another video about inner child stuff as well. So I did talk to people who didn't understand. I did go on a couple of other dates with other people. They were boring as hell, and I didn't enjoy them that much. Apart from one, I actually enjoyed one of them, but it was just to get me out of my head, just to get me out of just obsessing, just to get me out and meeting new people and talking to other people and not being so stuck and not being so attached, you know, just allowing myself to have the freedom to do that. I didn't do that because I was trying to get anything, didn't do that because I was trying to get validation, because I knew that's not what I needed, but I did that because I thought, you know what, I deserve to talk to other people, I deserve to meet other people, I deserve to be treated well by other people, and that's what happened. And that feedback that I got from the self-love stuff that I was doing came through in those dates. I always felt like I was desired and wanted, and I thought, God, these affirmations are working, because I've never felt like this before from all these people, and it was fun, you know. But it's not necessarily what you need to do or what you should do, but there's no right and wrong to it. I did it, still manifested my person. I didn't go on many dates, I just went on a few, and honestly at the time I sometimes had to drag myself there because I didn't really want to go. None of them compared to what I knew I was creating with my person, but it was just the process of getting out, talking to other people, getting out of my head that helped me in some way, I think. I don't know, we'll never know, but it was part of my process anyway. I really also, another thing that I did was really tap into the feeling of knowing. I have always had a feeling of trust within myself that's been sometimes buried under doubts and fears and not really knowing. There's always been there, and tapping into that feeling of trust and knowing that he is my person and we are going to be together, and I know that he loves me. And if he doesn't know it himself now, he's going to know it. So I really tapped into that feeling, and I really enjoyed that. And that gave me confidence. And every time I would wobble, I'd always come back to that feeling. My manifestation buddies, April and Megan, they'd always remind me of that feeling. They knew it for me sometimes. That's why they were so important on my journey. And they would remind me, he loves you. He's absolutely in love with you. There is no one who compares to you. And they'd remind me of that. And then I'd be like, oh yeah. And it would remind me of that feeling that I already had within myself, which was, of course, this is going to happen. And I believed it. So I also did affirmations about the version of him that I wanted to be with, the commitment, the security, the stability, the staying with me, the fun that we would have, and the just feeling really, really secure. And so I did affirmations for him, like, I'm so grateful for how loyal and devoted he is to me. So that was sometimes affirmations, sometimes visualizations, sometimes inner conversations with the version of him that I wanted to be with. And those were just comforting to me. I enjoyed them. I did them whenever I felt like it. There was no pressure for me to do it. It was just something that made me feel good. I used to walk around my house and pretend that he was in the other room and talk to him. Sounds like a really crazy thing to do, but it made me feel comforted in some way, you know, like I was living there with him. And then funnily enough, he did literally move there with me. It's crazy, right? Oh yeah, okay. A big thing is we weren't friends on Facebook during that time. I didn't want to see what he was doing. I didn't want to see pictures of him with anyone else. I didn't want to think about who this person was. In fact, I didn't ever look her up. I never engaged in that at all. I thought, you know what, that has to just disappear. So I'm just gonna not give it any attention at all. We weren't friends on Facebook, and I stopped looking at him, and I stopped posting things in the hope that he would see. And if I ever caught myself doing that in any way, then I wouldn't do it, because I knew that I was trying to get validation from him. So it all had to come back to me, knowing that everything I was doing for myself, and that if I was trying to seek validation from him through social media, then that had to stop, and I couldn't do that, because it's not him that has to give me the validation, it had to be me. So that was a big thing. Social media, just don't mess with it. Like, don't play that game. Give yourself a break from social media and your specific person. If you're friends with them, then, you know, there's ways that you can either mute their stories, mute them from seeing your stories, whatever it is that you've got to do to protect yourself from going down that awful, destructive rabbit hole of chaos and social media, which is all just an illusion and not the real story. So yeah, a big thing was I allowed myself to cry. I cried a lot. I had so much stuff that needed to come out of me, and that time I had on my own was all about healing. It was all about really understanding myself. It was all about cultivating a new sense of me, which I'm still working on, but I did so much work on myself within that time that I was starting to feel like I'd released loads of stuff. I didn't see it as a problem for me to cry. I saw it as a really necessary thing. Yeah, I spent a lot of time alone, which probably wasn't the best thing. I was in isolation, I was in lockdown half the time in Italy, which is just never a good thing for me to be on my own. That time gave me a lot of introspective thinking that was probably quite useful, but I actually think that my life changed and my concept of myself changed the most when I started socialising more, when I made friends with some girls in the city and I just had more fun and I did more things. That was when I started to get more confident the most, but the affirmations were helping me along the way as well. So yeah, and also inner conversations, did some inner conversations that I really enjoyed doing, just really feeling like that he was there with me and just enjoying that process of, you know, thinking, I'm going to have this conversation one day. It's already done. I just, you know, enjoyed the magic of manifesting. I loved it. I loved the process of thinking, this is going to happen. This is going to work. I know I can do this. And then I'm not saying I enjoyed it all the time, because some of manifesting a specific person is absolutely awful and difficult and lonely and hard and sad, and you just miss them. And all of that stuff was real for me. You know, all of that stuff was there. And I had an unrealistic expectation of healing completely before, you know, he came back into my life. But that's not what happened, because I'm still healing now. I'm still, you know, what I've done is created a relationship where I can heal within the relationship, which is something that I'm really, really proud of, because it means that I'm free to express my fears now, and I'm not worried about, you know, pushing him away or anything like that. And it's becoming more and more open, which is, you know, what I've always wanted. The other thing that I did was I did some scripting. I just scripted out on my phone what I wanted. I imagined the end scene, and whenever I would feel wobbly or something like that, I'd be able to read that on my phone and it would make me feel better again. So in a nutshell, that's what I did. And it wasn't a linear process. It was very up and down. When we actually started speaking again, I was nowhere near feeling great. I was feeling rubbish that day, and I was surprised that the conversation even occurred. But the reason why I'm telling you that is because you just don't know when it's going to happen. You don't have to be completely okay for you to manifest your person. You just need to do the work on yourself and know that you will need to keep doing the work whenever they come back into your life, and that it's a process and a journey, and everyone's is so unique and there's no right or wrong, and you've just got to decide that it's going to work for you. So if there's anything in this video that you'd like some more clarity on, which I imagine there probably is, then leave me a comment below, and it gives me just some feedback about what I can talk about with you. Really, I'm just a normal person just like you, and I had all the same desires and hopes and fears that you do, and I'm just sharing my experience about that, and that is what I've got. And I believe that it's really helpful when you can resonate with someone. I really believe that manifesting a specific person is possible. More than anything, I think the biggest thing for me in manifesting is that I love manifesting consciously. I just love it. I think it's so magical, and I don't understand it all completely, but for me it works. It's always worked. It's just a really hopeful, positive, uplifting thing that you can do. Not only that, but I think when you get into manifesting a specific person, like I've talked about so many times, there's just so much opportunity for you to heal within yourself. It's not about the person, as I keep saying. It's really not about the other person, but that person for some reason leads you back to yourself, and that is so, you know, such a gift. For me, this journey became so much more than manifesting a specific person. It became about me healing myself. It became about healing and understanding my trauma bonds that had been creating patterns throughout my whole life, even with him for the last few years, that I needed to heal in order for me to experience the relationship with him that I wanted. And that was just such an amazing, profound, life-changing thing that this journey brought me. So, you know, I think you'll find this too whenever you're manifesting a specific person. If you can learn to look at it that way, that it's just about so much more than a person. They are just the catalyst for you to heal and feel more confident and be more confident, and to experience the things that you want and to learn how to create them yourself. So that's the video for today, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. I would love to speak to you. If you'd like to do some coaching, then please let me know. My email is just below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.